Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I'm not in my usual seating area. I'm actually visiting my mom who is out of town, and we are going to be doing a few videos from here. And so while I've been visiting, we went to a thrift store and I was able to find quite a few books, really cool book finds, as well as we headed to her local Barnes & Noble. I found some new reads there as well. So we're gonna get into all the books that I read in August, as well as my book haul, or all the books that I was able to find since being here. So that is going to be today's video. If you haven't already, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. And without further ado, let's get into the book haul. First up, we got this juice. Really gross. It's got like 7 ingredients though. I have family members that have been sick, so I'm just kind of juicing up, drinking all of the nasty things that are really good for you. And yeah, cheers. This is actually really heavy. All right, so these are all the books that I was able to pick up this week, and I think it's a pretty good amount, especially since half of them were from a thrift store. So I'm just gonna quickly run through those first. And I highly suggest like checking out your local thrift stores or used bookstores. They have such great deals, and a lot of times people that do like book clubs and stuff will get rid of the books that they read and they're relatively new or in really good condition. And that's kind of been the case for me. I found so many books that are fairly new, trending, and I've gotten them for like $1, a couple bucks really. So I picked up 1984 by George Orwell, and I've actually never read this, and it's been on like my TBR for a while. It's one of those like dystopian novels everyone has read and I haven't, and I'm obsessed with The Handmaid's Tale and all of those types of tropes, like dystopian tropes. So I'm really excited to get into this one. Then I found The Letter. This is actually like, I'm not sure if this is a series, but I have the book The Christmas Box, and I found like the sequel or like another book by this author, and it's like the same type of cover. The other cover that I have is red, and it's just really pretty. Everything is embossed and pressed in. It's very nice, good quality, and in really great condition. So happy that I found that. Then I found Vicious by V.E. Schwab, and it has a couple of markings on it, but honestly I'm not too concerned because it was $1. I've read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue and I really enjoyed it, so I'm gonna get into more of her writing. And in case anyone doesn't know, she has like 2 different names that she goes by. So for her adult fantasy sci-fi books, she goes by V.E. Schwab, and all of her young adult books are gonna be Victoria Schwab. So I think that's the best way to know if it's gonna be like more adult or young adult. Yeah. Okay, I just thought this was really cute. It's a graphic novel of Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. And I actually just did a video talking about this play, which is ridiculous. So it actually has like an accelerated reader quiz, like how many points it'll give you. It's so cute. But yeah, I just thought it was really cute. And I think it'll go great with my Shakespeare collection. And then lastly, I got Big Little Lies by Liane Moriarty. I've seen the show on, I think it's HBO. Yeah, I think it's HBO. Really great show. So I decided to pick up the book. I think the cover is cool. I wish I didn't have this little sticker, but yeah, it's just one of those I really enjoyed, and I would like to read this someday and kind of compare like the show with the book and see what it's all about. But if you haven't seen the show, it's definitely worth watching. It's got an amazing cast and highly recommend. Jumping right along into the books that I got at Barnes & Noble. So a lot of these probably aren't new to you guys. They're trending either on Book Talk or you know the authors, but I'm really excited to get my hands on them. So first we have the 8th book in Julia Quinn's Bridgerton series, On the Way to the Wedding. I actually just read this. It's a quick read. Honestly, any of her books you could read in like a day. So I just finished that and I'm really happy I finished that series. Then we have Fable. This is a young adult fantasy, also on Reese Witherspoon's book club. If you follow her on Instagram, she's always giving like really great recommendations. And I just loved the cover. I went ahead and read all the reviews on Goodreads and it looked really good. So I'm excited to probably read this week and see what the hype is all about. Then I picked up Babel. I actually wasn't sure if I was gonna read this or not because the synopsis has been kind of confusing for me, and it is dark academia. It takes place, I believe, in like 1828 in London, and I think the main character is an orphan, who goes to school in Oxford, and it kind of, there's a lot that happens here, but it talks about education, imperialism in Europe, or British imperialism. It looks really interesting. I'm excited to get into it. It's a big, chunky book. I love the cover. I love dark academia. Trying to read more of them, and maybe I can make a full book, or maybe I can make a full video on all of my favorite dark academia book recommendations. So if you're interested in that genre, let me know. But I'm excited to read this sometime. And lastly, because I love historical romance and I love this cover, I picked up A Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting. It was in the new release hardcover section in Barnes & Noble, and I just thought the cover was beautiful. It has a cool little story. The main character is looking, essentially she's a gold digger in the Regency era, and she is trying to land herself a rich husband or else be like kicked out of her home. She doesn't have any money, or they're out of money, her family, and it just goes from there. But it looks really witty. It's a fun little rom-com, but set in Regency era, which I love. And again, the cover just really gripped me. Like, so pretty. So I'm excited to get into that. All right, so now we're gonna get into all the books that I read in August. Starting out with The Lying Game. This is a thriller by Ruth Ware. And essentially it's about these group of friends who have this game that they play in like their boarding school called The Lying Game. Essentially, they basically just are trolls, and their game is to lie. Whoever's the best liar that doesn't get caught wins and gets points, all of that. Well, something happens while they're in school and we're sent forward like 17 years. Something tragic has happened that was in their past. It's coming back to like haunt them, and they all get together again after all this time. I gave this book a 3-star rating. I actually didn't really like it, and I think I was being generous with my 3-star rating. The reason why, I feel like it was very slow. The climax, or the like the big ta-da moment, was very underwhelming for me, and I feel like it could have gone differently. I was expecting something else, and there was just a lot of characters in the book that I feel like were unnecessary fillers just to like add more pages to the book, which was just really boring. Again, like it took me a lot longer than it normally does to read a book, so I feel like I could have read more books this month if not for this book. So that's why I gave it 3 stars. Next, I read The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, and this book I also gave a 3-star rating. I probably could have bumped it up to 4 stars, but I gave it 3 stars for a few different reasons. One, the Well, first let me get into the reasons why I really loved this book. The imagery of the circus and the characters and just the entire atmosphere of this plot was very well written, and it was like reading a poem or like a really pretty song. It was so nice. It was something I haven't read in a long time, and I really enjoy that style of writing, even though it is lengthy. It's a very thick book. And the writing is very fluffy, and it doesn't come off as pretentious. It's very lyrical, very nice to read, very soothing, and I appreciated that. However, the plot itself, there is so much potential in the beginning, and again, like you read the back of a book and you are like, oh yeah, that sounds so good, and you start reading and it's like, wait, it's not what I thought it was gonna be. And that's what happened here. So I think I just went into it getting really, really excited for something that ended up not being the case. Like, yeah, like the ending just wasn't what I had hoped it would be. So, and it also left a lot of questions because it's magical realism. There's a lot that goes unanswered or unexplained in like the magic system. Like, it's just very vague. And I wish it would have gone into more detail, but maybe it's because I read so much fantasy. I'm just not used to having all of these like ambiguous elements of magic not being explained, like any other fantasy series would be. But yeah, I would have given this 4 stars if I would have enjoyed the ending more, but because I didn't, I'm knocking it down to 3. I'm so sorry. The writing was beautiful, but it just wasn't my favorite. Then I read On the Way to the Wedding by Julia Quinn. Like I said, I picked this up and I ended up just reading it in a day, like the day I got it. And it was a quick read. It was fun. Just like all the other Bridgerton books, it's about one of the siblings and their love story. And this one centers around Gregory, who I think is the youngest Bridgerton, or maybe Hyacinth is. But he's one of the youngest Bridgerton siblings. And he loves love, but he doesn't know how do you know when you are in love. And he thinks he falls in love with someone like at first sight, and it just goes from there. I think that the book was cute, but it was very underwhelming. It was just like, okay, cool, quick read, makes you happily ever after, nothing special. The best Bridgerton books are the ones with Benedict and I think Sophie, Anthony and Kate, and Eloise's story as well with Sir Philip, and Francesca's story too. There's a few that I really, really liked, but this one just was like, okay. But I finally finished all of the series, and I think I gave this a 3 stars as well. Now we're gonna get into the Red Queen series. I read all 4 books, and this is finally in this video we have a 5-star rating for me. I love this series as a whole. I gave each book individually different ratings, but I think as a series, it's worth the spot on my shelf. Like, I read half of them through the library, the rest I had just bought, and so I will be purchasing the rest of them so I have the full collection. But I really enjoyed this series. It's a young adult fantasy based off of a class system, so it's gonna give you like Hunger Games vibes. A lot of people compare it to the Hunger Games, so if you are interested in that series, or you liked that series in the past, or you understand the premise and you are interested in something like that, then you would, I think, really enjoy it. It centers around a girl who is of the lower class, and she basically gets thrust into this elite court system from this higher class system, and it's all based off of your blood. So if you have red blood or silver blood, that's how you get categorized. And the silver blood people have like abilities, powers, whereas the reds have nothing, and she actually has powers and she's of the red blood. So it's a great story. I loved the world building. I love the characters. There's definitely a lot of character development. If you're interested in like a really fun plot and seeing rooting for like the different villains / hating the heroes, I don't know. I definitely got a lot of that. There's a love triangle square things going on too. So definitely a fun read. I'm excited to read more of Victoria Aveyard's books, because I was definitely pleasantly surprised with that one. Next up, we have Darling Girl by Liz Mikulski. I hope I read that right. This is a Peter Pan retelling, and or reimagining, I guess, like an expansion of the story of Peter Pan. I gave this book a 4-star rating. I thought it was so good, and I think this is her first book that she's come out with, so I'm really excited to see what else she writes in the future, if she's gonna do more like fairy tale, Disney-esque type of stories, or just coming out with something completely different. But this story is based off of the Darling family. So Wendy, the main character in Peter Pan, is the main family we're going to read about and point of view, but we get the perspective of Wendy's granddaughter, whose name is Holly, and she is terrified of Peter Pan. We don't know why. It's super vague in the beginning, and we start to learn more about her story, her family, and why she hates Peter. We're gonna find out a different story about Peter Pan that you may not be accustomed to if you've watched the cartoons, which I really enjoyed as well. And yeah, it was just a really great writing, really great plot. I liked the ending, and I think that if you're a fan of Peter Pan, or I don't even know what genre this would really go into, like maybe fantasy, but I really enjoyed it, and I think a lot of people will too. So definitely give it a try, or at least look it up on Goodreads and see what you think, which, by the way, I'll have my Goodreads link down below in case you want to learn more about any of these books that I'm talking about. And then the last 2 books that I read were on Audible, and I feel like I'm cheating because I did 2 rereads, but they were ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses, and A Court of Mist and Fury. I just was actually driving down to my mom's. I was really bored driving, and I was like, you know what, let's just reread it because I've been wanting to do it anyway. And I haven't listened to it before on Audible, and a lot of people recommend listening to it on TikTok. So I decided to get them, and obviously I couldn't stop listening to it. So I've been listening to it nonstop, and obviously those are 5-star reads for me. I love the series, and if you haven't heard of it, I mean, you need to read the series. It is a great fantasy story. If you like fae, if you like fairies, if you like war and love triangles and powers and Beauty and the Beast retellings, I think you will like it. It's got everything. It's got like all the good things that good fantasy stories have, and then obviously there's romance like sprinkled in, but then in the second book it's like thrust in. So if you're into that, definitely check it out. But I really liked listening to them. Actually, they have the graphic audio now on Audible, so I've been listening to that, and it's cool, kind of distracting, but I think it's definitely worth having on your Audible library still. All right, guys, and that is going to be for today's video. I hope you enjoyed listening to all the books that I read in August and kind of sharing with you the books I was able to find here in South Florida. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I will have everything linked in the description box below. If you've read any of these books, let me know in the comments if you liked them, or if you have any book recommendations, please let me know, because I'm always on the hunt for something good. And yeah, that's gonna be it for today. So thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you next time. Bye.